Hi everyone, today I want to make a video about being an INFP because I am one, and I've watched some other people talking about their experiences as a certain type, and I thought it might be interesting to share mine. First, if you don't know what an INFP is, I suggest you just Google MBTI. It's a kind of personality theory where there are like 16 types, and each type has 4 cognitive functions that they use. And the first one is a dominant one, and the last one is the inferior one. So for an INFP, for example, my cognitive functions are first, introverted feeling, second, extroverted intuition, third, introverted sensing, and 4, extroverted thinking. If you don't know what those are, I suggest you just like Google it or watch YouTube videos, and there are a lot of good information and good explanations. I'm not an expert, so I'm just gonna share my experience about what it's like to be my type for me. And I'll start with my introversion. So I'm an introvert, and for me that means that I need quiet time by myself to recharge. So for me that means I have this kind of space around me with my favorite books, my favorite music, videos I like and that inspire me, sometimes even games, just things I do by myself that make me feel good or make me feel like myself. And I like being somewhere where I can just feel comfortable, and mostly that happens when I'm alone in my home. So I noticed that, for example, if I study in a library or somewhere where other people are present, I feel like I can't concentrate quite as well because I'm feeling rather self-conscious, and I feel like I don't want to intrude upon other people's space, so I don't want to make too much noise, I don't want to move too much, so that I don't disturb other people. So I like studying at home because I just want to wear whatever I want, just make as much noise as I want, talk to myself, like my thoughts, express my thoughts, and listen to music and stuff like that, just feeling at home and at ease. That's really necessary for me to feel comfortable. I can be outgoing. It's not that I'm always shy or anything. Mostly I talk when the subject interests me, when I know the people well. So when I'm in a group where I know the people and the group is not too big and the subject is interesting, then I have the problem of maybe sometimes talking too much. Like I have many thoughts in my head and I just want to express them. And so I have to tell myself consciously, okay, just take a breather, just sit back and relax and let the other person talk as well. So I try to be more conscious of that because I think everybody should be able to express themselves in a conversation and be listened to. That's kind of important to me. The thing is that I'm kind of messy. I feel like I'm in my head a lot of the time, and I just don't notice like what's going on around me sometimes. Like when I have to tidy up or anything, it doesn't bother me if I'm in a room where not everything's tidy. So I have to consciously tell myself and make myself tidy up and clean up. It's just something that I feel I don't want to waste too much energy on because it's tedious, it's repetitive. So sometimes I'll be in the mood to clean up and then I'll clean and everything's clean. But it takes a lot of effort to keep those things up. So to do it on a regular basis. I think this kind of not being aware of things can make me a bit self-centered sometimes, or make me appear self-centered, because I'll not always, if I'm in my head, I'll not always be aware of what I can do to help other people. And I've been told I appear arrogant sometimes because I can be kind of quiet and reserved and distant and just taking things in, really. And I guess that can appear like I'm not interested or that I feel above the conversation or what's going on, but I don't usually, that's not usually what happens. It's just that I feel kind of uncomfortable, or I feel that I don't really have anything to share about the subject, or that I just rather think about it before I share. And what usually happens is that the subject has already changed before I'm ready to say anything about it. I usually don't feel like doing practical things like cooking or cleaning, and maybe I'm kind of lazy sometimes. Sometimes I feel like I don't have the energy to do a lot of things in the day, so then I'll say to myself, okay, I'll do my coursework and it's enough for the day. I don't have to do anything else, while maybe other people, they go to work and then they cook and everything, and they do more things than I do, and then I sometimes feel kind of bad about that like sometimes I feel I could help other people more in that regard. And it's something I don't do automatically. I have to consciously make an effort to be there in that way for other people, for the people I live with. Another thing I really notice is that I have a lot of problems with procrastination. It's very hard for me to plan things. I mean, I do plan things, but then I don't stick to it. That's a real problem for me. If I have a deadline, it's hard for me to start early and to do a little every day. That's just impossible for me. 2 days before the deadline, I'll start like really working on it and hoping that it will be decent enough to hand in. And I feel that that's a bit of a problem for me because I have a problem finishing things as well. So I'll start on something, like I like to write. So for example, I'll start on a story and then I'll write 2 or 3 pages and feel bored with it, or like I'm done with it. I don't have anything else to say. And that's something I'm struggling with because we live in a society where it's kind of important that you finish things and achieve things and be really focused and productive. And it makes me feel bad sometimes because I don't feel like it's my nature to finish things. I don't know. And usually if there's a deadline, I will try to meet it. It's kind of exceptional that I just don't do it. That's kind of exceptional. It's usually when I'm feeling too stressed out, like there's too many things on my plate. So I'll just, instead of just really wearing myself out, I'll just choose the things that are the most important to me. Or if I'm really in this kind of place where I don't feel good, then maybe that will happen, that I don't finish something and regret it later. But usually I do finish it on time with some effort. Another thing is that I have strong feelings about certain things. For example, I'm a vegetarian. I feel very strongly about not causing suffering to other beings. I feel like, for me, my motives for being a vegetarian aren't really like logical. It's not that I think, although I do think there is logic behind it, but for me, I don't really have like ready arguments in my head. Okay, I'm vegetarian because this, and this, and that. It's a feeling of having to do something. So I feel, okay, I don't want to cause suffering to other beings, so I have to stop eating meat, for example. And I really hold myself to that standard. If I feel something strong enough, I will be very determined to not do or to do something. And it's like intrinsic motivation, so there's nothing outside of me, no reward, no punishment, just something that I feel inside of me that I need to do. So like for me, that's being a vegetarian, and maybe even going vegan. I'm slowly moving towards that. I feel I'm very sensitive in that regard. Like, even like, I feel for me it's very important to not kill things. Just anything. I feel like life is kind of maybe even sacred to me, I don't know. Just like, even if I see an insect, and I'll not kill it. Like, usually, except maybe mosquitoes if they're really, really bothering me. But except for that, I try to always be conscious of the fact that they have a life of their own, and it's not my right to alter it in any way. So I'll try to I'll put the insect outside if it's bothering me, or if I feel it's better for it to be outside. And I'm also concerned about nature, and I feel kind of sad in a way when I see like trees being when trees are being cut down. I feel sad about that. I feel like respect for nature is very important. And so for me, my values are really just being compassionate. That's important for me. Even so, that I used to struggle with boundaries and taking care of my own needs. So I used to always put other people's needs above mine. That's something I had to really work on, which maybe brings me to the relationship part. So when I was a teenager, I used to really have these romantic ideals about love, and I used to think like love is worth anything. And I used to, like I said, I had some issues with putting clear boundaries, and if the other person was mean to me, I would like automatically assume it was my fault, not that the other person was being a bit of a jerk. So I had to consciously work on that and consciously make my needs more important to me. And sometimes I learned that like you can be compassionate with someone, but it doesn't mean that they need to be in your life or that you have to have like an intimate relationship with them, because people who are in pain can cause hurt to other people. That's just how it goes. And it's alright to protect yourself from that. I do feel I have this kind of idealistic idea of a relationship. I feel there are things I'm looking for that I don't feel I want to compromise on, and that other people might think is a bit idealistic or excessive. So, for example, I feel it's hard if the other person doesn't understand what I'm talking about, or if I feel they can't, like, if I feel they're not interested in what I feel is important, then that kind of can cause me to lose interest maybe in talking to them, in communicating with them, because when I share something, I feel I want it to be received well, and I want to have some positive feedback on it, especially if it's important to me and if I feel vulnerable in sharing it. And if the other person says like, I don't understand what you're on about, or that's kind of ridiculous what you're thinking there. So like more this kind of harsh way of reacting, it makes me like, I easily feel like I just want to withdraw and be in my own little world and not share anything anymore to that person. Guess I take things personally rather easily. Like if the other person doesn't like something that I feel passionate about, then I take this as a kind of maybe attack on who I am. And if I'm in a relationship with that person, that can be a challenging thing to deal with for me. I also feel in relationships that I need a lot of space and alone time. I'm not really someone who is very clingy. I rather have time to do my own stuff. And also it's an issue for me, like, if I spend a lot of time around someone, I automatically need some alone time afterwards, and that can cause some problems because the other person doesn't always understand why I need my space. So I also have problems with sometimes clearly communicating my feelings. I really don't want to hurt other people, so if I feel something that might upset the other person, I feel kind of reluctant of sharing it. And sometimes if that goes on for a long time, I can like come inwardly to the conclusion that this relationship isn't working without really communicating that to the other person on time. So then I might just out of the blue like say this isn't working, and then the other person will feel really surprised. So that's a real issue for me that I have to really work on, to just share my feelings, because like I think feeling something and sharing it is better. It's like less painful for the other person if you share something that might upset them than if you just say out of the blue, okay, I'm done with this, this isn't working, I'm not happy. So yeah, I tend to have a problem with conflict as well. I used to just do anything to not be in conflict. So just make up and not really think about, okay, so what happened here during this argument? What did the other person say? What did I say? What do we need to work on? Just my instinct is to just make it be all right. So like make the conflict stop by any means. Okay, so I hope this video was helpful and that it gave some more information about what it's like to be an INFP. And thanks for watching. Bye.